This is going to be the dumbest segment I've ever done. And I've been doing this for 11 years. My name is Marcus Cahal. I host the 9 to Midnight block on WKTX 97.3, Lexington, Kentucky. We're a talk and music hybrid, part local, part syndicated, part whatever keeps the phones lit. Tomorrow's Halloween, which means tonight's show is the annual Spooky Stories episode, where I pretend to care about people's haunted barn encounters, and we all have a good time. I've got my sound effects cued. I've got a bag of fun-sized Snickers under the board because Denise in sales left them as a passive-aggressive reminder that I forgot to promote the station's Trunk or Treat event. I've got a producer named Carla who is currently in the booth across the glass, giving me a look that says, "If you eat those on mic again, I will end you." Standard Thursday night. Maybe 200 people listening at any given moment. Most of them driving. Some of them working overnight stock at the Walmart on New Circle. A few insomniacs, my regulars. We open with the theme. I do my intro. I go to the first caller. Guy named Dale from Richmond. Dale says his cousin's farmhouse has a door that opens by itself every October. I ask Dale if the door opens in July too. And Dale says he doesn't know because nobody visits his cousin in July. Classic Dale. Second caller tells me about a face she saw in a window on Tate's Creek. Third caller wants to know if I've ever been to the Waverly Hills Sanatorium, and I tell him yes, and that I mostly felt cold and bored. Standard Halloween Eve radio. Low stakes, comfortable. At 9:47 p.m., between callers, Carla patches through an off-air note. She says there's something on the Associated Press wire about a mass stabbing at a Halloween party in Dayton, Ohio. I ask, how many hurt? She says they're still counting. I tell her to keep watching it. We go to music. By 10:15, I've read 2 updates off the wire, and neither one makes the situation clearer. Here's what AP is reporting. At approximately 9:20 p.m. Eastern, emergency services in Dayton, Ohio, responded to multiple 911 calls from a residential block party in the Belmont neighborhood. Witnesses describe a group of individuals, not one attacker, a group moving through the party with edged weapons. Knives, possibly machetes. The callers used the word costumes. Police are on scene, casualty count not confirmed. That's version 1. Carla printed it out and slid it under the glass. Version 2 comes 12 minutes later. Now AP says the Dayton Police Department has confirmed at least 9 victims with stab wounds, 3 in critical condition. They've detained 2 suspects. Both suspects were wearing Halloween masks at the time of the attack. One, a store-bought latex skull, the other, a rubber clown face. Police are searching for additional suspects who fled the scene on foot. I read the basics on air because it's 90 miles from Lexington, and some of my listeners have family in Dayton. I keep it factual. I say, developing situation, and our thoughts are with everyone affected, and I move back to the show. But I'm watching the wire now instead of my call screen. At 10:31, a third update comes through. And this is where I slow down for the first time tonight. The Dayton PD has revised the suspect count. They are now looking for between 6 and 10 individuals who are part of a coordinated group. All masked, all armed with bladed weapons, all on foot. None of them spoke during the attack. Witnesses say the group arrived at different entry points around the block party at approximately the same time, began cutting, and left in different directions when sirens approached. Coordinated, silent, bladed. The AP wire tags it as a possible coordinated terror event and notes that no group has claimed responsibility. Carla asks if I want to lead the next segment with it. I say no, not yet. It's one city, one event, one awful night. Dayton PD will handle it. The The cable networks are probably already wall-to-wall. We don't need to be. I go back to a caller who wants to tell me about a cemetery in Harrodsburg. I wish I'd stayed with the cemetery story. At 10:52, Carla comes into the studio during a song break. She doesn't slide a printout under the glass. She walks in. She's holding her phone, and the look on her face is not the look of someone reading about one bad thing in one city. Columbus, Ohio. A neighborhood Halloween parade. One of those things where families walk the kids down a closed-off street and local businesses hand out candy. About 40 minutes ago, a group of masked individuals walked into the parade route from a side street and began stabbing people. I stare at her. She says it's on the Columbus Dispatch's live feed. 12 injured, at least one child. The attackers wore costumes. They didn't run. They walked. They used knives. Multiple witnesses say the attackers did not speak. Columbus is 180 miles from Dayton. The timing is less than 90 minutes apart. I ask Carla if the AP wire has connected them. She says not yet. The Columbus report is from the Dispatch, not the Wire. A P is still treating Dayton as the primary. I sit there through 40 seconds of a Tom Petty song trying to decide what I owe the people listening to me right now. Because here's the thing about local radio at 11 o'clock at night. We're not CNN. We're not even the local TV affiliate. We're the voice people leave on in the background because it makes the house feel less empty. And when I come out of this song, I'm either the guy who tells them something terrible is happening, or the guy who kept playing music while it happened, and they found out from someone else. I come out of the song. I tell them. I say, I need to step out of our Halloween programming for a moment. We're monitoring reports of 2 separate mass stabbing events tonight, one in Dayton, Ohio, and one in Columbus, Ohio. Both appear to involve groups of masked attackers targeting outdoor Halloween gatherings. These are developing stories, and details are not confirmed. But I want you to hear this from us rather than be surprised by it later. If you're attending any outdoor Halloween event tonight in the tri-state area, please stay aware of your surroundings. We'll continue to update as we learn more. I go back to music. My hands are steady. My voice was steady. That's the training, the muscle memory of 11 years behind a mic. You report, you don't editorialize, you don't speculate, you go to music. But inside my chest, something just tilted. 2 cities, same night, same method, same silence. I pull up my phone and start checking Twitter. Twitter is doing what Twitter does. It's faster than AP, less reliable than AP, and louder than anything. By 11:10, the hashtag Dayton Attack is trending. Columbus hasn't consolidated under a single tag yet. People are using Columbus stabbing, Columbus Halloween, and Ohio attacks interchangeably. The video clips are already circulating. I don't watch them. I've learned not to watch those videos in real time because they stay in your head for months, and I still have a show to finish. What I do read are the text posts. And the text posts are scared. Someone in Indianapolis claims there are police staging outside a shopping center on the east side. Someone in Pittsburgh says they heard sirens in the Strip District. Someone in Cincinnati is posting a photo of a police cruiser blocking a street in Clifton. None of this means anything yet. Halloween night plus a mass stabbing in Ohio means every city within 300 miles is going to have heightened police visibility, jumpy 911 calls, and people posting blurry photos of cops near parties. That's not evidence of spread. That's evidence of fear. But one post from Cincinnati catches me. A woman-verified local journalist, I recognize the outlet, says she's at a bar in Over the Rhine, and the manager just locked the front door because someone across the street saw 3 people in masks standing on the corner. Not moving, not speaking, just standing. Could be costumes. It's Halloween Eve. Could be drunk people in masks. Could be nothing. But the word she uses is standing. Not walking, not talking, not partying. Standing. And the way she describes it, I can hear the wrongness in the text. 3 people in masks, shoulder to shoulder, facing the bar, standing still. I check the clock. 11:14 p.m. I have 46 minutes left in my show. After midnight, the syndicated feed takes over and I go home. Carla knocks on the glass. She's pointing at her phone. The AP wire just moved a bulletin. Cincinnati. The AP bulletin on Cincinnati is short and careful, the way wire copy gets when the editors know they're about to be wrong about the scale of something. Cincinnati police responding to reports of multiple stabbings in the Over-the-Rhine neighborhood. Witnesses report masked individuals. No confirmed casualty count. Developing. That's it? 2 sentences. But combined with Dayton and Columbus, those 2 sentences change the math entirely. I go on air. Folks, I need to update you again. The Associated Press is now reporting a 3rd incident tonight, this one in Cincinnati. Masked individuals, stabbing attacks, Halloween gatherings targeted. That's 3 cities in Ohio in under 2 hours. I want to be clear. We don't have confirmation these are linked. We don't have a motive, we don't have a group claim, and we don't have an official statement connecting them. But 3 events with the same profile on the same night is something I think you need to know about. I pause. I hear myself breathe. If you are out tonight at a party, at a bar, trick-or-treating early, anything, please consider going home. Lock your doors, stay off the streets. I'm not an authority, I'm a radio host. But I'm telling you what I'd tell my family. Go inside. I go to commercial. During the break, Carla tells me the station manager, Phil Overby, is on the phone. Phil doesn't call the station at 11:20 on a Thursday unless something is very wrong or very expensive. He's watching the cable coverage, and he wants to know if we're going to extend my show past midnight. I tell Carla to tell Phil I'll stay if he needs me to stay. She comes back 30 seconds later. Phil wants me on the air until further notice. He's calling in our morning news anchor, Janet Yoon, to come in and co-anchor. She's 40 minutes away. Until then, it's me. I've never done breaking news alone. I've done weather emergencies, I've done election nights with a full team. I've done one active shooter situation 3 years ago, where I mostly read police statements between songs. But I've never been the only voice in the building during something that feels like it's getting bigger every time I check the wire. The commercial break ends. I come back on. We're going to stay with you tonight. I've been asked to extend past midnight. Our news team is on the way in. In the meantime, I'm going to keep monitoring the feeds and bring you information as I get it. If you're just tuning in, here's what we know. I summarize Dayton, Columbus, Cincinnati. 3 cities, masked groups, knives, silence, no motive, no claim. My phone buzzes in my pocket. Text from my ex-wife, Sandra. It says, "Are the kids with you?" They're not. They're with her. It's her week. I text back. "They're with you. Are they home?" She responds, "Yes, watching a movie. What is happening?" I text, "Keep them inside. Lock everything." Then I put the phone down and go back to work. Between 11:30 and midnight, the scope changes 3 times. At 11:34, a CBS affiliate in Indianapolis breaks in with a local report. A group of masked individuals attacked a haunted hayride attraction south of the city. 14 injured, 2 by stabbing, the rest trampled during the panic. The attackers fled on foot into adjacent farmland. Police dogs deployed. No arrests. At 11:41, The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette posts a story to their site. 3 people stabbed outside a bar in Lawrenceville during what witnesses describe as a coordinated rush by 4 masked individuals. One of the attackers was subdued by bar patrons and is in police custody. He has not spoken. He had no identification. The mask was a plain white plastic face, the kind you'd buy at a dollar store. At 11:58, 2 minutes before I was supposed to sign off and go home, the AP wire moves a story that makes everything before it feel like a prologue. Washington, the FBI has activated its Critical Incident Response Group in connection with a series of coordinated stabbing attacks across multiple cities in Ohio, Indiana, and Pennsylvania. At least 6 separate incidents have been confirmed since approximately 9:20 p.m. Eastern. The Bureau is treating the events as a potential coordinated domestic terror attack. A press conference is expected within the hour. 6 incidents. I'd been tracking 3. I read the FBI statement on air. I hear my own voice slow down, get quieter, more careful. Not because I'm performing gravity, because gravity just arrived on its own. The phones are full. Every line. I can see the board, 12 lines, all lit. I don't take callers during breaking news because I can't control what a panicked caller says on live radio. And the last thing Lexington needs right now is someone screaming into a microphone. But I can see the caller ID on line 4. It says Unknown Area 937. That's Dayton. I don't pick up. Carla is in the booth running the AP feed through a printer that hasn't been used this hard since the 2020 election. She's also monitoring 4 TV feeds on her laptop. She slides me a note. Nashville, unconfirmed. Nashville. That's not Ohio, that's not Pennsylvania or Indiana. That's south. That's Tennessee. That's 200 miles from where I'm sitting. I read the note and set it aside. Unconfirmed means unconfirmed. But I feel the geography shifting. The first 3 cities were all in Ohio, a tight cluster, 180 miles across. Indianapolis pushed it west. Pittsburgh pushed it east. And now, if Nashville is real, it's pushing south, toward me. I don't say that on air. I don't say, toward me. What I say is, we're hearing unconfirmed reports of a similar incident in Nashville, Tennessee. We have not been able to verify this. I'll bring it to you when I can. And then I say something I've never said on this station. If you are listening to this in any city in the eastern United States, and you are outside right now, go inside. I don't know how big this is. Nobody does. But go inside. Midnight passes. I don't notice. Janet Yoon arrives at 12:25 a.m. She's in jeans and a UK sweatshirt, and she looks like she was pulled out of bed, which she was. She sets up in the second chair, puts on her headset, and gives me a nod. Having another voice in the room changes everything. For 90 minutes, I've been talking into a void, monitoring feeds, making decisions about what to say and what to hold back. Alone. Janet is a real journalist, 15 years in broadcast news. 2 years at a Louisville TV station before she came to us. She knows how to do this. We split the work. I anchor, she monitors and brings updates. It feels like breathing after holding my lungs closed. At 12:40, Janet pulls something off the AP wire that she reads twice before showing me. The Pittsburgh attacker, the one subdued by bar patrons in Lawrenceville, has been transported to a hospital for treatment of injuries sustained during his capture. During transport, the arresting officers reported the following. The suspect spoke for the first time. He said a single sentence, which all 3 officers in the vehicle confirmed independently. He said, "It's not done until morning." That's a direct quote from the police incident report, attributed to 3 officers. And I don't know what to do with it. Janet and I look at each other. She's thinking the same thing I'm thinking. Is this a timeline? Is this a taunt? Is this a confused, injured person saying something meaningless under duress? We decide to report it. I read the quote on air. I attribute it clearly. I say, we don't know what this means, and we're not going to speculate on air about its meaning. But the quote comes from an official police report, and we believe you should have it. The phones erupt. Not the studio lines, my cell phone. 3 texts from listeners who have my number. One of them, a regular caller named Eugene who runs a towing service on Versailles Road, texts me. Marcus, I'm listening. What does that mean? What morning? I text back, I don't know, Eugene. Stay inside. He responds, I'm at the shop. Door's locked. Got the scanner on. Lexington PD is staging downtown. I ask, staging for what? Eugene. They're pulling guys off patrol and putting them on foot around Triangle Park in the courthouse. Someone called in a sighting. I stop, my fingers over the phone. A sighting of what? Eugene doesn't answer for 2 minutes. Then, group on the corner of Main and Limestone. Masks just standing there. Lex PD rolled up and they walked away, scattered in different directions. I set the phone down. I look at Janet. She's reading something on her screen with an expression I've seen before. It's the face of someone watching bad news become worse news. She passes me a printout. 2 new cities, Atlanta and St. Louis. At 1:15 a.m. on October 31st, someone at the New York Times, and I don't know who, but God bless them, publishes an interactive map. It shows every confirmed and credibly reported incident on a timeline, starting with Dayton at 9:20 p.m. Each incident is a red dot with a timestamp. As of the map's publication, there are 11 dots. Ohio has 4. Pennsylvania has 2. Indiana has 1. Tennessee has 1. Georgia has 1. Missouri has 1. Kentucky has 1 that's an unconfirmed report from Louisville, not Lexington, which I hadn't even heard about. Janet pulls the map up on her laptop and holds it where I can see it while I'm on air. The dots don't form a ring. They don't radiate from a single point. They don't follow an interstate or a river or a straight line. They look scattered, seemingly random urban areas across the eastern half of the country. But there's a density. Ohio to Pennsylvania to Indiana is a tight arc. Nashville, Atlanta, and St. Louis push the perimeter out. And every single one is a city with a population over 100,000. No small towns, no rural areas, cities. Places where people gather in crowds on Halloween night. I described the map on air without naming the specific tool, because I don't want 200,000 people crashing a New York Times server at the same time. I say, if you're looking at the geography of this, the incidents are concentrated in the Midwest and Upper South, in medium to large cities, and they appear to be targeting locations where Halloween celebrations are happening outdoors. Janet adds, every confirmed attack has happened at an outdoor public gathering. Block parties, bar districts, hayrides, parades, outdoor festivals. No reports of home invasions. No reports of attacks in commercial buildings or vehicles. The pattern, if it holds, is public outdoor spaces. That's useful information. That's the kind of thing that tells a person, if you're inside, stay inside. If you're in your car, you're probably fine. Don't be in a crowd in the open air. But I noticed something else about the map that I don't say on air, because it's speculation, and I've promised myself I won't speculate tonight. Every dot is time-stamped within a 90-minute window, 9:20 p.m. to 10:48 p.m. After that, no new confirmed attacks. The unconfirmed reports are still rolling in sightings, panic calls, possible incidents. But the confirmed, verified, multiple witness attacks all happened in the same narrow band of time. Either it's over, or the second wave hasn't started yet. It's not done until morning. I take a breath and check the clock. 1:22 a.m. sunrise is at 7:54. 6.5 hours. Between 1:30 and 3 a.m., nothing new is confirmed. This should be a relief. For 90 minutes, the AP wire carries updates on the existing incidents, casualty counts rising. Others suspects still at large. FBI field offices activated in 8 cities, but no new red dots on the map. The cable networks cycle through the same footage, the same expert panels, the same retired counterterrorism analysts saying coordinated and unprecedented and domestic in nature. I stay on air. Janet rotates between monitoring and sleeping in 20-minute intervals on the break room couch. Phil sends a text at 2 a.m. that says our online stream has 4,000 concurrent listeners, which is more than we get during morning drive. People want a local voice. They want someone who sounds like them, who lives where they live, saying out loud what they already suspect. The big networks are covering this from New York studios with national correspondents and Pentagon sources. I'm covering it from a strip mall off Southland Drive with a bag of Snickers and a printer that's running low on toner. And I'll tell you something about the quiet hours of a crisis. They're worse than the loud ones. When information is flowing, you have something to do. You process, you verify, you report. When the information stops, you sit in the silence, and your brain fills the gaps. I take a few callers now. Carefully. I know their voices, and I trust them not to say anything that'll cause a panic. Eugene calls from his towing shop. He says Lexington PD has officers on every major intersection downtown, but the streets are empty. Not late night empty, abandoned empty. He says he drove past Rupp Arena an hour ago to tow a car, and the parking lots were bare. Every bar on South Limestone closed early. The Halloween parties are over. The city locked itself in. A woman named Paula from Georgetown calls and says her neighborhood has organized a text chain. 32 families on her street, all awake, all with porch lights on. She says the dads are sitting in lawn chairs in their driveways with baseball bats. That's probably not necessary, I tell her. Probably not, she says. But nobody's going back to bed, Marcus. A teenager calls, won't give his name, voice cracking, and says he was at a Halloween party at a house in Brannan Crossing when someone showed up wearing a white mask and just stood at the end of the driveway. Didn't approach, didn't speak. The kids saw the news on their phones, panicked, and 30 cars tried to leave the subdivision at once. 3 fender benders. Nobody hurt. The person in the mask turned out to be a kid from another school who had no idea what was going on and was just wearing his costume. I tell the kid I'm glad he's safe. I tell him to go be with his family. After that call, I sit in the booth for a moment without my mic on. Carla's asleep. Janet's on the couch. The studio is humming quietly, the compressor, the board, the fluorescent tube in the hallway that never stops buzzing. My city is awake and terrified, and nothing has happened here yet. I put my mic back on. At 3:08 a.m., the Washington Post publishes a piece that changes the conversation. It's a long-form article clearly written fast, clearly sourced from inside multiple hospitals about the medical findings on victims, and the single arrested suspect from Pittsburgh. Janet reads it first and hands me the printout. I read it on air because people need to hear this. The article reports that across all confirmed incidents, medical professionals are documenting a consistent injury profile. The wounds are shallow, deliberately, almost surgically shallow. Stab wounds averaging 1 to 2 centimeters in depth, enough to bleed, enough to hurt, enough to scar. But in the vast majority of cases, not deep enough to reach vital organs. Out of 114 confirmed victims across 11 incidents, 2 are dead. 1 from a trampling injury during a stampede. 1 from an allergic reaction to latex in a mask that was pressed against her face during the struggle. The stab wounds themselves have killed no one. I read that twice in my head before I read it on air because I need to understand what I'm about to say. These attackers, these groups, in 11 cities, using knives, are cutting people on purpose in a way that wounds without killing. That's not the behavior of someone trying to cause maximum casualties. That's not terrorism in any model I've ever heard described. Terrorism wants body count. Terrorism wants spectacle. This is spectacle, but the body count is almost 0. The article goes further. The Pittsburgh suspect, still the only one in custody, has been evaluated by a psychiatric team at Allegheny General Hospital. He is a 26-year-old white male with no criminal record, no known affiliations, and no social media presence. He was carrying a 5-inch kitchen knife with a piece of electrical tape wrapped around the blade at the 1-centimeter mark. A depth stop. He taped his own blade to control how deep it would cut. The psychiatric team reports that the suspect is calm, cooperative, and cognitively intact. He does not appear to be under the influence of any substance. He answers questions about his identity, his address, his family. He confirms he traveled to Pittsburgh from his home in Youngstown, a 90-minute drive. He confirms he acted with others. He confirms the date was chosen because of Halloween. And then, when asked why, he gives an answer that the psychiatric team describes as consistent and delivered without effect. He says, "Everyone needs to see what it looks like." The interviewing psychiatrist asks, What looks like? And the suspect says, "What's coming? This is the preview." I read the quotes on air. I pause after the last one. Not for dramatic effect, I pause because I don't know what to say next. In 11 years of radio, I have always known what to say next. There's always a segue, a summary, a transition to commercial. I look at Janet. She's awake now, standing at the booth window. I say, on air, "We don't know what that means. I want to be honest with you. I've been sitting here for 6 hours telling you what's happening, and I don't understand it any better than you do. The facts don't fit any pattern I recognize. I'm going to keep reporting what we learn, and I'd like to ask you to stay with me." The phones light up. Every line, I let them ring. Janet mouths through the glass, "Marcus, check the map." I check the map. 6 new dots, all time-stamped in the last 20 minutes. All south of the previous cluster, all of them closer. It started again at 2:50 a.m., and we didn't know because the wire services were lagging behind the reality. Knoxville, Charlotte, Birmingham, Richmond, Raleigh, and the one that turns my stomach sideways, Louisville. 80 miles from my chair, same profile, masked groups, edged weapons, outdoor locations. But the targets have shifted. There aren't block parties at 2:50 in the morning. The crowds that were outdoors at 9 and 10 have been indoors for hours. So the second wave isn't hitting parties. It's hitting the places where people go when they can't sleep. A 24-hour Waffle House in Knoxville. A gas station parking lot in Charlotte where truckers idle. A hospital emergency room entrance in Birmingham, an emergency room, where the wounded from the first wave in other cities were being transferred. A late-night vigil outside a church in Richmond, organized in response to the earlier attacks. People who went outside in response to the fear are being targeted by the second iteration of the thing they feared. I report this carefully. I'm aware that every word I say might push someone to do something. Go outside, stay inside, drive somewhere, freeze in place. I stick to facts. I name the cities. I name the locations when I have them. I repeat the pattern. Outdoor spaces, public locations, masked groups, shallow cuts. But Louisville is the one that matters to my listeners. I tell them, Louisville Metro Police have confirmed an incident at approximately 2:55 a.m. in the Bardstown Road corridor. A group of 6 individuals in masks attacked patrons outside a bar that was open late for a Halloween event. 7 people wounded, all non-critical. The attackers dispersed on foot. 2 have been apprehended. Then I say, that is 80 miles from this studio. I don't need to say more. My listeners can do the math. They know the roads. They know that the I-64 corridor between Louisville and Lexington is a straight shot, 65 minutes at highway speed. They know that if this thing is moving south, and the map says it's moving south, then Lexington is inside the radius now. Janet takes the mic. She's better at this part, the calm, measured delivery that sounds like authority even when the authority is a woman in a college sweatshirt who hasn't brushed her hair. She says, if you are in the Lexington metro area, do not leave your home. Do not go outside for any reason. If you are in a vehicle, drive to the nearest occupied building and go inside. If you see individuals in masks, do not confront them. Call 911. Lexington PD is aware of the national situation and has activated additional resources. We are in contact with local emergency management and will relay any official advisories as they come in. Good, clean, professional. That's why I needed her here. I check my phone. Sandra has texted 3 times. The last one says, the kids are awake. They can hear the sirens. What do I tell them? I text back. Tell them it's a busy night for the police and they're keeping everyone safe. Tell them Dad says to stay inside and try to rest. I love them. She texts back a single word. Okay. I put the phone face down on the console. Because if I look at it again, right now, I will not be able to keep talking into this microphone. And the microphone is the only thing I can offer anyone tonight. At 3:38 a.m., Carla, who woke up 5 minutes ago and is now fully operational on pure adrenaline, puts a call through to me without warning. I see line 1 light up and she's waving through the glass, mouthing something I can't read. I pick up. WKTX, you're on the air. The voice is female. Young, maybe early 20s. She's whispering. I'm at the Woodland Park Apartments on East 3rd. There are people outside my building. They have masks on. There are 4 of them. I feel the floor drop. Are you inside your apartment? Yes, 2nd floor. My window faces the parking lot. They're just standing there. Have you called 911? I tried. I've been on hold for 4 minutes. On hold. Lexington 911 has been overwhelmed. Okay, stay on the line with me. Stay away from your windows. Is your door locked? Yes. Is anyone with you? My roommate. She's in the bathroom. She won't come out. I'm broadcasting this. I'm aware that I'm broadcasting this. Every person listening can hear a young woman in Lexington, Kentucky, telling me there are masked figures outside her building. This is no longer something happening in Ohio or something happening in Louisville. This is here. This is tonight. This is now. What are they doing? I ask. Standing in the parking lot, under the light. They're just standing there looking at the building. Are they holding anything? A pause. I can't tell. One of them has something in his hand. It might be, I think it's a knife. Janet is already on her cell phone calling the Lexington PD non-emergency line, trying to relay the address. Listen to me, I say. You're going to be okay. You're on the 2nd floor. Your door is locked. The police know about the situation and they're patrolling. What's your name? Keisha. Keisha, I'm Marcus. I'm going to stay with you. You're doing great. They're looking up at the windows now. My whole body goes cold. Not metaphorically, physiologically. I feel my arms go goosebumps and my jaw tighten and the back of my neck prickle. Because the thing I've been narrating from a safe distance for 6 hours just looked up at a window in my city. Are your lights on inside? Yes. Turn them off, right now. Get your roommate and go to an interior room with no windows. Bathroom, closet, hallway. Take your phone. Stay on the line. I hear movement, shuffling, a door opening and closing. The sound quality changes. She's in a smaller space now, more echo. I'm in the bathroom with Jess. The lights are off. Good. Stay there. Don't open the door for anyone you don't know. She whispers, "They're not leaving, Marcus." I know. I'm on the air, and I know. By 4 a.m., 14 suspects are in custody across 9 cities. The FBI has released a preliminary behavioral summary, and it reads like someone describing a species they've never encountered before. The suspects range in age from 19 to 44. Both sexes, multiple ethnicities. No shared employer, no shared social media network, no shared religious or political affiliation. Background checks on the 14 reveal no criminal histories, no psychiatric hospitalizations, no history of violence. 3 of them are parents. One is a high school teacher, one is a licensed EMT. They have nothing in common except what they did tonight and the things they say when asked about it. Because they all say the same thing. Not the same exact words, but the same core message, delivered in the same flat, cooperative affect. The Youngstown man said, "Everyone needs to see what it looks like." A woman arrested in Knoxville said, "We're showing them what's next." A man in Columbus said, "This is the small version." A 20-year-old in Indianapolis, a kid, a sophomore at IUPU, I said, "People need to feel it a little so they're ready to feel it a lot." I read these quotes on air, and I can hear the quality of the silence in the studio change. Carla is standing completely still behind the glass. Janet has stopped typing. The small version. What's next? Ready to feel it a lot. These are not the statements of people who believe they've committed a crime. These are the statements of people who believe they've performed a service, a warning, a kindness. And the thing that disturbs me most, the thing I don't say on air, is that they might mean it, not because they're right, because they believe they're right, with a sincerity that doesn't look like delusion. The psychiatric evaluations are coming back consistent, oriented, cooperative, no thought disorder, no mania, no command hallucinations. These are sane people who did an insane thing and feel good about it. That's a different category of threat. A terrorist has a cause you can name and attack. A mentally ill person has a pathology you can treat. A cult has a leader you can arrest. But 14 unconnected, sane people in 9 cities who all decided to do the same thing on the same night for the same reason they can't fully articulate. What do you do with that? I ask Janet off mic what she thinks. She says, "I think it's more than 14. She's right. 14 are in custody. But across the 23 confirmed incidents, the number is 23 now. Witnesses have described groups ranging from 3 to 12 attackers. Most fled successfully. Even conservative math puts the total number of participants well over 100. 100 people in 23 cities who woke up on October 30th and put tape on their knives. Janet says something else that I think about for the rest of the night. She says, They didn't try to hide. They wore masks, but they attacked in public, in front of cameras, and when they were caught, they talked. They wanted to be caught. They wanted the interviews. Because the interviews are the message. The cuts are the envelope. The quotes are the letter. Keisha is still on the line. She's been whispering to me for 40 minutes from a bathroom in the Woodland Park apartments while masked figures stand in her parking lot. Lexington PD has been notified. Janet confirmed a unit was dispatched, but no officers have arrived. At 4:12, Keisha says, "They're moving." My chest tightens. Which direction? Toward the building. They're walking toward the entrance. Is the building entrance locked? No. It's an exterior staircase. Anyone can walk up. Okay. Keisha, do not open your apartment door. Do you have a deadbolt? Yes. Is it engaged? Yes. Then stay where you are. They cannot get through a deadbolted door easily, and they will not stay long. Their pattern is to move and disperse, not to siege. I'm saying this with confidence I don't have, based on a pattern analysis I'm constructing in real time from news reports. But Keisha needs to hear certainty right now. And the pattern, such as it is, does support this. Every confirmed attack has been outdoors, in the open, lasting under 3 minutes before the attackers scatter. No home invasions, no prolonged assaults. They cut and move. 3 minutes of silence on the line. Then Keisha says, "I can hear them, in the stairwell." Footsteps. She holds her phone toward the bathroom door, and I can hear it through the radio feed. My listeners can hear it, a slow, measured cadence of feet on concrete stairs. Not running, not sneaking, walking. A calm, unhurried pace, like someone heading up to check their mail. They're on my floor. I don't breathe. They're walking past my door. The footsteps are audible through the phone. One set, then another, then a third. They pass Keisha's door. She can hear them through the wall and continue down the corridor. Then they stop. Keisha whispers, "Someone's knocking." Not on her door. Somewhere down the hall. A knock. 3 measured beats. Then silence. Then 3 more. "Someone opened their door," Keisha says. "Oh God, someone opened their door." What happens next, I don't broadcast in detail. What I hear, what Keisha hears, is a brief commotion, a short cry, and then the sound of footsteps again. Faster this time, moving back toward the stairs. Then nothing. 30 seconds later, a siren, getting closer. Keisha says, "They're gone. I can see the parking lot from the kitchen. They're running across the field. The police are coming." She's crying. I tell her she did everything right. I tell her to stay inside until officers knock on her door and identify themselves. I tell her she's brave. She says, "They knocked on my neighbor's door, Marcus. Somebody opened it." I know. At 5 a.m., the FBI holds its press conference. I watch it on Janet's laptop while she takes the mic. The special agent in charge of the FBI's Louisville Field Division stands in front of a podium and reads a prepared statement. He looks like he hasn't slept and is running on the kind of focus that comes after the adrenaline has burned off and all that's left is duty. He confirms 31 incidents across 19 states. He confirms 187 victims with stab or laceration wounds. He confirms 4 deaths, 2 from tramplings, 1 cardiac arrest, 1 from a secondary vehicle accident during a panic evacuation. He confirms 22 suspects in custody. He says the investigation is being coordinated across all 56 FBI field offices. Then he says something careful. He says, "We have not identified a central organizing structure, a shared communication platform, or a unifying ideology among the suspects. The investigation is ongoing, and we are pursuing all leads. No central organization, no shared platform, no ideology. That means they don't know how these people found each other. They don't know how they coordinated. They don't know why they all did it at the same time. A reporter asks, "Is this a cult?" The SAC says, "We have no evidence of a cult structure." Another reporter, "Is this related to social media or an online challenge?" The SAC says, "We have found no shared social media activity among the suspects." Another, "Have the suspects explained their motivation?" The SAC says, "Suspects have made statements. Those statements are part of the investigation, and I cannot comment further." The press conference ends. 20 minutes of nothing, wrapped in procedure. I take the mic back. Janet looks at me, and I can see in her face the things she's not saying. She's scared. Not crisis scared, not news adrenaline scared. Something deeper. The kind of scared you feel when the explanation you've been building in your head collapses and there isn't a new one ready. I go on air. I summarize the press conference. I give the numbers. I tell my listeners that the FBI is treating this as the highest priority. Then I pause. I want to talk to you for a minute. Not as a news anchor. I don't have my news anchor voice anyway. I'm a talk show host who's been awake for 20 hours. I want to talk to you as Marcus. I take a breath. 31 attacks. 187 people hurt. Nearly 24 suspects who all say the same kind of thing, that this was a warning, a preview, that something bigger is coming. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if these people are delusional or prophetic or manipulative. But I know what they did tonight. And I know that the number of people involved suggests something that law enforcement hasn't been able to name yet. I pause again. It's almost morning. Stay with me. The sun comes up over Lexington at 7:54 a.m. on October 31st. I know this because I've been staring at the sunrise time on my phone for 2 hours, waiting for it the way I imagine sailors waited for shore. The last confirmed attack happened at 4:47 a.m. A small incident in Mobile, Alabama. 2 people cut outside a gas station. After that, nothing. The second wave of attacks, like the first, ran for about 2 hours and stopped. The masked figures dispersed. The ones who weren't caught vanished into the same pre-dawn dark they came from. There is no wave 3. I'm sitting in a studio I've sat in 2,000 times, and it feels like a different room. The coffee Carla made at 5 a.m. is cold. Janet is doing an interview by phone with the Lexington Herald leader. Through the window, I can see the sun hitting the parking lot. And the light looks like the most important thing in the world. I go on air one more time. It's 7:58 a.m. The sun is up. There have been no new incidents reported in over 3 hours. Lexington PD reports 0 confirmed attacks within city limits. The sighting at Woodland Park Apartments involved individuals who fled before making contact with residents in the open. 1 person was injured in a nearby building. They are receiving treatment and are expected to recover. I stop. I've been with you for 11 hours. Some of you have been listening since the beginning. I want to thank you for staying with me. I want to thank Janet Yoon, who came in at midnight and kept us grounded. I want to thank Carla, who printed 300 pages of wire copy on a printer that owes us nothing. I hear a small laugh from the booth. Good. I don't have a summary for you. I don't have a conclusion. This is not a story with an ending. 31 attacks happened last night, Halloween Eve, across 19 states. And the people who did it say it was a preview. I don't know of what. Nobody does. I pause. But it's morning. The sun is up, and if tonight taught me anything, it's that morning matters. I take a breath. This is Marcus Cahal, WKTX 97.3. Stay inside today. I go to music. I should have gone home. Phil told me to go home. Janet told me to go home. I've been awake for 24 hours, and I'm not useful anymore in any professional capacity. But I don't go home, because at 10 a.m. the mayor of Lexington holds a press conference and announces that the city is not implementing a curfew tonight. Halloween will proceed. I listen to this from the break room on Janet's laptop. The mayor says that law enforcement is coordinating with federal agencies, that additional officers have been called in, and that canceling Halloween would cause more harm to the community than proceeding with caution. He encourages people to attend events at well-lit, organized public venues and to avoid isolated outdoor gatherings. Janet, who has been doing this longer than I have, says, "He's worried about the economy, the bars, the restaurants, the hayrides. One night of cancellation costs the service industry $3 million. She's probably right. But I'm thinking about Keisha in her bathroom. I'm thinking about the footsteps on the stairs. I'm thinking about the fact that every single attack last night targeted exactly the kind of well-lit, organized public venue the mayor just recommended. The argument explodes across social media by noon. Half the country is saying cancel everything. The other half is saying you can't let terrorists win. You can't shut down a holiday. You can't live in fear. The cable networks run split-screen debates. The governor of Ohio declares a state of emergency and orders a curfew. The governor of Kentucky does not. I call Sandra at 11:30. She answers on the first ring. "Are you keeping the kids inside tonight?" I ask. "Of course I'm keeping them inside." "Don't answer the door for anyone." "Marcus, I know." "Not for trick-or-treaters, not for neighbors, not for anyone." "I know." She pauses. "Lily wants to go trick-or-treating. She's been working on her costume for 2 weeks." Lily is 9. She's going as a veterinarian. She has a toy stethoscope and a stuffed dog she was going to carry under her arm. "She can't go." "I know she can't go. I'm telling you because I'm going to be the one who tells her. And I need you to understand what that's going to feel like." I close my eyes. This is the part of a crisis nobody talks about on the news. A 9-year-old who doesn't understand why the world broke on the one night she's been looking forward to for a month. "I'm sorry," I say. "Come home, Marcus." "I can't. Not yet. You've been there all night." "I know. I need to stay through tonight. If it happens again, being on the radio doesn't protect you." She's right, but she's also wrong in a way I can't explain to her without sounding like I think I'm more important than I am. Being on the radio doesn't protect me, but it might protect someone who's listening. "I'll be home by morning," I say. The line is quiet. "By morning," she repeats. At 2 p.m., while I'm dozing upright in my chair with Janet running the afternoon coverage, the internet does what it always does. It finds something the professionals missed. A Reddit user and I will not name the username or the subreddit because I don't want to drive traffic to unverified claims posts, a compilation of social media profiles belonging to 11 of the 22 arrested suspects. All of them had public profiles. All of them were unremarkable. Jobs, family photos, restaurant check-ins, the usual detritus of an ordinary online life. But the Reddit user found one commonality. Between July and September of this year, each of the 11 suspects visited the same website. It was visible in shared screenshots, in browser tabs caught in photos, in one case in a comment referencing it by name. The website is a text-only page. No images, no videos, no interactive elements, called thepreview.org. By 3 p.m., the site is down. Either the FBI took it or the traffic killed it. But cached versions are circulating, and what's on the site is I need to be careful here. It's an essay, about 6,000 words. No author credited, no date, no links. Just text on a white background. I read it in the break room. Janet reads it at the console. Carla reads it on her phone. The essay describes a theory. It argues that modern civilization has become incapable of processing real danger because all representations of danger are mediated through screens. People watch violence on the news and feel nothing. People see war footage and scroll past. The essay argues that this numbness is not a psychological condition, it's a structural failure. Humanity has lost the ability to feel afraid of real things because fictional fear has replaced it. The essay then proposes what it calls a correction. A single night of real, physical, controlled violence, not lethal, not indiscriminate, but targeted, public, and visceral, that would reintroduce the body to fear. The essay calls this the preview. It says the purpose is not to kill, but to cut. Not to terrorize, but to sensitize. It compares it to a vaccine, a small dose of the real thing so the body remembers how to respond. The essay ends with a paragraph that I read 3 times. This is not a manifesto. This is a diagnosis. The body has forgotten how to flinch. We will remind it. One night, shallow cuts. And in the morning, when you feel your skin and know that it can open, you will remember what it means to be made of something that can break. You will pay attention to the next warning. You will feel the next threat before it arrives. We are not your enemies. We are your nerve endings waking up. I set my phone down. I am not going to read this essay on the air. I'm not going to quote from it. I'm not going to give it oxygen. But I know it's already everywhere. I know my listeners have seen it. I know the cable networks will be reading it within the hour. And I know, with a certainty that settles in my chest like cold water, that whoever wrote it was not among the 22 people arrested last night. The author is still out there. And it's almost dark. At 6:18 p.m., the sun begins to set. I'm back in my chair. Janet is beside me. Carla is behind the glass. Phil is in the building for the first time in years during a live broadcast. He's in his office down the hall with 2 TVs and a police scanner. The governor of Kentucky held a press conference at 5 p.m. and declared a soft advisory, not a curfew, not an emergency declaration, but a strong recommendation that outdoor Halloween activities be concluded by 8 p.m. In practice, this means nothing. The people who are going to stay inside are already inside. The people who are going out are already out. I can see, through the one window in our hallway, the last light on the tree line behind the shopping center. Orange and pink. Beautiful, actually, in a way that feels indecent tonight. I go on air at 6:30. Good evening. This is Marcus Kahale on WKTX 97.3. I'm going to be with you again tonight. I hope that's okay. I hope you don't need me. I give a summary. 31 attacks last night. 192 victims now, with updated numbers. 4 dead. 22 suspects in custody. The essay on thepreview.org. The FBI statement that they are aware of the document and investigating its origin. The governor's advisory. And then I say, here's what I don't know, and what nobody seems to know. Is tonight a continuation? The suspects said this was a preview. They said it wasn't done until morning. Last night's morning came and the attack stopped. Is that the end? Or was last night the preview and tonight Halloween night. The night they chose as their stage as the main event. I let the question sit. I don't know. I'm going to be here, and I'm going to tell you what I learn as I learn it. All I ask is what I asked last night. If you're outside, go inside. If you're inside, stay inside. The phones light up immediately. My listeners, my regulars, plus thousands of new ones, have been waiting for me to come back on. I feel the weight of that. These people aren't tuning in for news. They can get news anywhere. They're tuning in because last night I was the voice that stayed when everything went sideways. And they want to believe that if I'm still here, still talking, still calm, then the worst hasn't arrived yet. I take a call from Eugene. He's at his tow shop again. He says the streets are emptier than last night. Downtown Lexington is a ghost town. He says the only people he's seen moving are police cruisers. And he's counted 14 in the last hour on his block alone. They're taking it seriously, he says. Good, I say. Marcus? He pauses. You think it's going to happen again? I should say I don't know. That's the honest answer, and the responsible answer, and the answer that doesn't create panic. But Eugene has been calling my show for 6 years. He deserves more than the responsible answer. Yeah, I say. I think it might. The sun drops below the tree line. The window goes dark. It's Halloween. I am watching the clock like I have never watched a clock in my life. 9:20 p.m. That's when the first attack happened last night. Dayton. That's the timestamp on the first red dot. If there's a pattern, if there's a ritual logic, if the people who did this care about symmetry, and the essay suggests they care very much about symmetry, then 9:20 is the number. At 9 p.m., nothing. At 9:10 p.m., nothing. At 9:15 p.m., Janet says, Twitter's quiet, unusually quiet. She's right. The usual Halloween night flood of costume photos and party videos is thin. People are inside. People are watching. The country is holding its breath at a frequency I can almost hear through the dead air between my voice and the next. 9:18 p.m., 9:19 p.m., 9:20 p.m. Nothing. 9:21 p.m. Nothing. The AP wire is silent. The police scanner Phil has it on speaker in the hallway chatters with routine traffic. A DUI stop on Man O' War Boulevard. A noise complaint in Chevy Chase. 9:25 p.m. Still nothing. By 9:30, I'm starting to let out a breath I've been holding for an hour. Maybe the arrests disrupted it. Maybe the FBI presence in every major city made it impossible. Maybe the people who were going to do this tonight saw the response and stood down. At 9:34 p.m., Carla raises her hand behind the glass. She raises it slowly, like she's asking permission to speak, and the look on her face collapses every molecule of hope I just built. She puts the wire printout against the glass so I can read it. A P-Bulletin urgent multiple cities, reporting coordinated knife attacks targeting Halloween events. Incidents confirmed in Chicago, Houston, Phoenix, Philadelphia, and San Diego. FBI sources indicate attacks are simultaneous and match profile of October 30 events. 5 cities, all of them major. All of them larger than any city hit last night. This isn't a repeat. It's a scale-up. I read the bulletin on air. My voice does something it didn't do last night. It cracks. Not dramatically, not theatrically. Just a small fracture on the word simultaneous, where my throat tightens, and the word comes out in 2 broken pieces. Janet takes over. She reads the city names. She reads the AP Wire's note that early reports indicate significantly larger groups of attackers than the previous night. She reads that the Chicago attack is taking place on the Magnificent Mile, one of the most heavily policed and surveilled streets in America. I sit in my chair, and I look at the window at the end of the hallway. It's dark. My city is out there. My kids are out there, in Sandra's house, 80 minutes away, behind a locked door. And somewhere between here and there, on a road I drive every other Friday to pick them up, someone might be walking with a taped knife and a mask, and the sincere belief that they are doing the world a kindness. I'm going to tell you what happened on Halloween night as simply as I can, because the details have been covered by every outlet in the country, and what I can offer you isn't better reporting. It's what it felt like to sit in a room and watch it unfold between 9:34 p.m. and 2:15 a.m. 78 separate incidents were confirmed across 36 states. The attacks followed the same pattern: masked groups, edged weapons, outdoor gatherings, but the scale was exponentially larger. In Chicago alone, an estimated 40 attackers moved through 6 different locations in a coordinated sequence that unfolded over 45 minutes. In Houston, the attacks targeted the Museum District's outdoor Halloween festival, which had drawn an estimated 15,000 people despite advisories. The casualty numbers climbed through the night in a rolling count that I read on air every 15 minutes, and that I will hear in my sleep for a long time. By midnight, 412 wounded. By 2 a.m., 861. By the time the attack stopped, and they did stop, at almost exactly the same time as the previous night, in the dead hours before dawn, the total stood at 1,109 people with stab or laceration wounds across the entire country. 11 dead, 7 from stampede injuries, 2 from cardiac events, 1 from a severed artery in the wrist, the only victim whose wound was deep enough to be fatal. And investigators believe this was accidental, that the attacker's tape failed. 1 from a fall off a parking structure while fleeing. 1,109 people cut in one night, and nearly all of them will survive with scars and stitches, and a memory that will never leave them. 91 suspects arrested across the country. And every single one, when asked why, said some version of the same thing. This is the preview. This is so you'll pay attention. Something is coming, and you need to be ready to feel it. In Lexington, there were 2 incidents. One at the Triangle Park downtown. 3 people cut by a group of 2. One outside a church on Versailles Road, where a prayer vigil was being held. 5 people cut, all survived. Both groups of attackers were apprehended by police within minutes. I reported all of this. I reported it in real time as it came in. I took calls. I kept my voice level. I told people to stay inside, and I told them the sun would come up. And I told them that the things in the dark were human beings, not monsters. And that human beings can be caught and stopped and held accountable. But here is the thing I couldn't say on air, and I'll say now. I don't fully believe that last part. Not because the attackers were superhuman. They weren't. They were ordinary people with kitchen knives and electrical tape and a theory about what humanity needed. They were caught easily, almost willingly. They were stopped. But there were over 1,000 of them, across every region of the country, with no central organizer, no shared chat, no leader, no hierarchy. They read an essay on a website, and they agreed with it, and they acted on it, independently, simultaneously. That's not a conspiracy. That's a consensus. And you can arrest a conspiracy. I don't know how you arrest a consensus. It's 8:15 a.m. on November 1st. I'm still in the studio. The sun has been up for 20 minutes. The attack stopped hours ago. The National Guard has been deployed in 4 states. The president is scheduled to address the nation at 9 a.m. And nobody, not the FBI, not the cable analysts, not the retired generals, and former CIA directors who've been filling airtime all night, has answered the question that the arrested suspects keep asking through their lawyers and their psychiatric evaluations and their flat, cooperative, terrifying statements. What is the preview for? They all say something is coming. They all say the cuts are meant to prepare us. They all say this is the small version. And no one can find the original author of the essay. The preview.org was registered through an anonymous service, hosted on a server that's been wiped. The text has been analyzed by linguists who say it's well written, probably by someone with a background in neuroscience or behavioral psychology, and that it shows no markers of known extremist literature. It's not accelerationist, it's not nihilist, it's not religious. It reads like a clinical recommendation, a vaccine. That's the word they keep using. A small controlled dose of real danger so the body remembers how to respond. The question that nobody will say out loud on television, but that everyone is thinking is, what if they're right? Not morally right. Nothing about last night was moral. Nothing about cutting 1,000 people can be called moral. But what if there's something coming? What if these people know about a threat that the rest of us don't? And this was their broken, violent, inexcusable way of trying to prepare us for it. I don't believe that. I need to say that clearly. I think they read a persuasive essay, and it activated something in them, some latent willingness to act, some hunger for purpose, some desire to be part of something real in a world that feels increasingly fake. I think the essay told them their violence was medicine, and they believed it because believing it felt better than believing they were simply hurting people. But I noticed that I said, I think, not I know, because I don't know. And neither does anyone else. Janet touches my shoulder. She says, "You need to go home." She's right. I do. "Who's going to take the mic?" "I am," she says. "Go see your kids." I look at the studio, the printouts stacked on every surface, the cold coffee, the board with all 12 lines dark for the first time in 14 hours, the window at the end of the hall, full of pale November morning light. "Okay," I say. I pick up the mic one more time. "This is Marcus Cahull. It's November 1st. The sun is up. I've been with you for about 22 hours now. Some of you have been with me for all of it. I know, because I can see the stream numbers, and they haven't dropped since midnight. I don't have a summary for you. I tried to write one during the last commercial break, and I couldn't finish a sentence. Here's what I've got instead. Last night, over 1,000 people in this country were hurt by other people who believed they were helping. That's real, and it's terrible, and the people who did it will face justice. The system works slowly, imperfectly, but it works. Officers responded. Suspects were caught. Hospitals treated the wounded. Neighbors protected neighbors. Eugene sat in his tow shop all night with his scanner on, watching his block. Keisha survived in her bathroom with her roommate and called me so I could tell you what she was hearing. 32 families on a street in Georgetown stayed up together because none of them wanted to be alone. That's also real. I don't know what the preview was for. I don't know if there's a main event. I don't know if this is over. I'm not going to pretend I do. What I know is that today is November 1st, and the world is still here, and my kids are awake, and I need to go see them. I'm turning the mic over to Janet Yoon, who is a better journalist than I am, and who has been holding this show together since midnight. She'll be with you through the morning. One last thing. To whoever wrote that essay, and I think you're listening, because I think you've been listening all along, you were wrong. You don't teach people to feel by cutting them. You teach people to feel by staying with them through the night until the sun comes up. That's the lesson. That's the only lesson. This is WKTX 97.3. I'm going home. Stay safe, stay sharp, stay inside until you're sure. I take my headphones off. I stand up. My knees crack. My back aches in a way that tells me I've been sitting in the same position for hours without noticing. Janet sits down in my chair. She adjusts the mic. She gives me a nod. Carla raises her coffee mug from behind the glass. I walk down the hallway, past Phil's office where he's asleep in his chair with both TVs still on. Past the break room where the Snickers bag is empty. Past the front desk where nobody is sitting. And out the front door. The air hits me and I stop. It's November. The air is cold, and it smells like dead leaves and exhaust and the faint chemical sweetness from the dry cleaner next door. It smells like a normal morning. A morning that doesn't know what happened last night or doesn't care. My car is the only one in the lot that wasn't here when I arrived yesterday. Everyone else's car has been here all night. The windshields are fogged with dew. I drive. I take New Circle to a 64 West. The highway is almost empty. I pass 2 police cruisers parked on the shoulder with their lights off. I pass a billboard advertising a haunted corn maze that I assume is no longer operating. I pass the exit for the outlet shops at Burlington and see that the parking lot is empty. I drive for an hour. The radio is off. I can't listen to anything right now. The silence in the car is the first silence I've had since 9:47 last night, when Carla told me about Dayton. And it's so complete that I can hear my own pulse in my ears. I pull into Sandra's driveway at 9:40 a.m. The porch light is on. The front door opens before I reach it. Lily hits me at the waist. She's still in her pajamas. She's holding the toy stethoscope in one hand, and she presses it against my chest and says, "Dad, you look terrible." "I know, Bug. Mom said you were on the radio all night." "I was." "Did you help people?" I think about that. I think about Keisha in her bathroom. I think about Eugene in his shop. I think about 1,000 people in 36 states with shallow cuts that will heal into scars they'll carry forever. "I tried," I say. She keeps the stethoscope pressed to my chest. "Your heart's going really fast," she says. "I know." I put my hand over hers and we go inside, and I lock the door behind us. This is Lost Signal Broadcast. Subscribe and turn on the bell for the next signal. Leave your report below. Until then, keep your radio close.